So I need to talk a little bit more about European politics, or so I've been told. I'm focusing too much on the Amerikanskis. That's fair. Because right now there is a very important debate happening within the European Union. And you're going to notice just how democratic the European Union is by the end of this video. Now, the debate seems to come from a controversy that sprung up all of a sudden about Hungary proposing a crackdown on LGBT activism. And the crackdown refers to the fact that it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, for LGBT activists to teach their ideology in schools. The mainstream media reports it as teachers aren't allowed to tell students that gay people exist. It's like, okay, but it takes literally 5 seconds. Gay people exist. Why do you need entire hours and school programs and millions of dollars spent on literature that's going to now be purchased by the taxpayer money to be made available in schools? Okay, gay people, there, I did it for you, right? But it's not really about that. You probably know, like, based on the ideology, there's a little bit more complex. I understand everything is political, so this might take a little bit of a political connotation. So in a way, they're kind of upset, I guess, that this is not being done on the taxpayer dime, because no one is stopping them from, I don't know, like getting a kid to watch Netflix and they can find out there that gay people exist, right? So this conversation is mostly a red herring. Like, don't think for a second that the people from the European Union, the leaders, they can't sleep at night because the Hungarian children are going to be deprived from the very important sex education that they might get in schools. All right, like that alone should raise a little bit of an alarm flag that the conversation might be about something else. And you can see that it's a very serious issue because, if I'm not mistaken, I think like the Denmark prime minister said that if Hungary doesn't accept the laws of the European Union, then they're free to leave, right? So this is like such a serious thing. I mean, this is of a pivotal importance that the European empire that Guy Verhofstadt keeps talking about can be broken if little children in Hungary don't get to learn their LGBTs. You know, it's very bizarre. So clearly this is not what the conversation is about. I'll tell you what the conversation is about. The conversation is about that Frau Merkel in Germany is getting kind of old. I'm not saying this in a pejorative way. I'm saying this in an objective way. And unlike George Soros, I don't know if she managed to find the fountain of youth yet, but she's going to retire. And chances are, she's just a woman. I know she did a lot of great stuff. I know she's amazing and she's probably deity level for some people, but unfortunately, she's still just a man. Well, a woman. Whatever she identifies as. And because of that, she's going to have to step down. Now, the voice of the, I believe is the European Council, is usually given to the person that's the eldest among the member states. So in this case, it was Angela Merkel. The European Union, very traditionalist. Right now, guess who is in line? Guess who is the other person that's the oldest? Viktor Orban. You can see a little bit of a predicament. You can see a little bit of a problem here. Why is it a problem? Well, Viktor Orban, just like Merkel, seems to have a track record of winning election after election after election after election, right? So that is just one of the problems. It's the god Kronos that favors him. The other problem is the mindset of Viktor Orban and other people from Eastern Europe. You see, the people who are part of the Visegrad Alliance, as it's called, the V4, they're more of the European Union being as a, let's say, an alliance of nations. So the sovereignty of all nations needs to be respected. They want more, I guess, I can't really say like the United States of Europe, but like something like that where, like the nation states, they still have a lot to say. So like most of the power is in the nation states. That's the view of Eastern Europe. The view of Western Europe, and I guess like even the Nordic Europe, I guess Lucian would call it the NPC states. So the NPC states, they want I can't even say an empire, although it's kind of like that. They want the decisions to come top down. Okay, they don't want grassroots movement. Like you notice, they don't do referendums anymore. They don't really care about democracy. No, what they want is the experts, who hopefully are bureaucrats and not elected, to make the decisions for everyone. And once they made a decision, then the member states comply. So the member states would be like the citizens, and the European Union would be like the government. That's kind of the vision, and it contradicts the vision of the people in Eastern Europe. They don't really appreciate this. They just got out of a similar system, which was the USSR, so they don't want that. They just got their sovereignty back, especially countries like Poland, and that's what the conversation really is about. The conversation really is like, who should be the next major influencer within the European Union? Should it be Viktor Orban, or should it be, I don't know, the prime minister from Netherlands, for example? And this is the problem, right? They don't want the people to have this conversation. They don't want people like you and I to actually discuss this in the open, like have a referendum, like, because in a democratic country, right, in a democratic place, you would basically be given the opportunity to choose. Like you would be say, okay, so these are like the influential voices. Who do you think? And they would make polls and surveys, and they would ask people, and they would try to figure out, what the people want. And they would at least try to take that into account. If not put it up for a vote, they would at least like, okay, so the overwhelming majority of people want this guy or that guy. But that's not how the EU runs, right? So what they do instead is they give you this red herring about the LGBT laws, and they try to pretend as if gay rights in Hungary are at an all-time low. And why even focus on the LGBT? Like, why not focus, I don't know, on the crime rates? How are the crime rates in Hungary compared to the crime rates in Germany? How is the wealth disparity in Hungary compared to the wealth disparity in France? Why exactly this? Why this per se? Why is this the most important aspect? What about the freedom of the citizens? What are people more free? In Germany, where apparently the members of the AfD have their car bombs, like one of them, the leaders got put in a hospital, they get their houses vandalized, they get like all nastiness happen to them. And this is the opposition, right? They're labeled extremist and whatnot in a country where Nazism is illegal. If they're Nazis, why aren't they being arrested? So why don't we talk about those human rights abuses? Well, because it's not really about that. They don't really care about human rights at all. Why they do care is like winning the debate. And they will win the debate by getting people to be useful idiots, by going them like, oh my god, like the LGBT community is being incredibly oppressed, I guess, in Hungary. So Hungary bad, they're evil, we need to put sanctions against them, like try to kick them out, so we can't even think about having someone from Hungary represent the European Union, because they're evil, bad people. So my question has to be like, when the European Union was founded, did they teach LGBTness in schools? Did they do that? Oh, they didn't? Oh, so they were abusing the human rights. They were, it was a very, very anti-human organization, the EU, in its inception, right? What about democracy? So like, if the people actually vote for Orban's government, and the people give the consent of the government to have these things, what do we do then? Is democracy no longer important? Do we drop democracy in favor of, I don't know, the Europeans' wisdom? That's how I would have the conversation. My favorite conversation, okay, so you're saying that 20 years ago, when the European Union was created, was a homophobic organization. Why? Because they didn't teach the LGBTs in school. Not to mention, like, the LGBT, should they even be taught in schools, or should parents have this conversation? Do parents even have a role in educating children anymore? Like, is it even their children to educate, or is it the children are property of the state and the government, and is the role? Because at the end of the day, the teacher is a bureaucrat, right? Like, it's a representative of the government, if it's a public school. That's what it is. They don't really have free speech, because I find it hilarious now that people talk about teachers having free speech. No, they don't. Like, when they're in the classroom, they're supposed to read what the government gave them. At least that's how it is in Eastern Europe. I don't know in other places. But the government usually has like a list of subjects that the teacher needs to talk about. And that's what the teacher talks about to their children. They can't really go off the rails and do whatever they want. Huh? They can't go rogue. So anyway, right, let me know what you think. I find that it's very disappointing, but expected, I guess, that the European Union doesn't want people to talk about this very important thing, which is taking place. And I definitely think that this is what people should be talking about. Like, hey, who should replace Angela Merkel as one of the most important speakers and representatives for the European Union? But we're not going to talk about that. Instead, we're just going to be subjected to a campaign like all of these potential candidates are evil, and the only person that remains is this, and this is the one we want. Let me know what you guys think and what you guys want in the comment section. At least here we still have some democracy and the place with comment section open. And I'll see you guys there.